guys, Kami here. Welcome back to part 2 of the video. I'm featuring Carolian. So these are new heroes for March to April in the CN server in 2022. So alright, well, probably a good news and a sad news for you guys. So Carolian, slightly share a little bit of background. So she's from the Reincarnation faction. Her parents are, well, from Father Vernier, and her mom will be Rosalia. So if you are a fan of Rosalia and you like her as a waifu character, sorry to disappoint you, because well, she just tied a knot with Vernier, and this is their daughter Carolian. So alright, are you guys ready? Here we go. So before we carry on, watch to the end for the summarize or translations that I've done for you guys. And okay, that's it. So let's look at the design. So I gotta say again, another hard to probably cosplay characters is definitely nice to watch, but hard to do. Look at the cape details, her armor, her lance or spear, whichever you call. She has both her shields and a pole. Is that a polearm or long lance you're gonna call? So apparently she's a cavalry unit, and her staff is, she's the new characters that will be focusing on going anti-speed buff and breeze enchantment hero, so it's quite unique. So sadly we are not able to see what's under the armor. So okay, waifu or not, you decide. So she's from the following faction: Glory of Light, Strategy, and Empire. So well, she gave me the vibe that she's similar to, yep, Leon and Elwin. Okay, pretty straightforward. So her talent at rank 6 is known as anti-gravity engine. So basically they kind of, I gotta say that I just get the feeling that she inherit the mid to bottom tier talent of her mom and her dad. She's definitely, don't get me wrong, she's definitely still strong, but though I'm kind of expecting slightly more. But oh well. Alright. Anti-gravity engine. So going to her talent at rank 6, she's definitely much easier to absorb in than Kaguya. Sorry, number 1, increase defense by 20%. Number 2, increase attack by 4% for each stats or move. Maximum cap at 20%, so maximum is 5 times 4. Number 3, after actively dealing damage, cause enemy to rings or circles around you to have their speed buff convert to speed reduction effect. So this effect will last for a turn. Sorry, let us re-summarize again. So number 1, increase defense by 20%. Number 2, increase attack by 4% for each stat you move, a maximum cap limit at 20%. Number 3, after actively dealing damage, cause enemy to rings or circle around you to have their speed buff convert to speed reduction effect. So this effect will last for a turn. So one thing to take note is that why I stress the word convert, because if enemy is having any, well, speed buff through enchantment or tenure or well other skills, you are not that straight away treated as a debuff, but instead you're converting their speed buff to a speed down. So how much is being converted is exactly the same as how much you're being speed up. So if tenure give you a speed plus 3, you go down by a speed reduction by 3. So this is definitely a great giving more space combo and synergy to characters like Yuria and other heroes that like requires enemies, well, when their movement is having like 1 or less or 3 or less. So with this hero around, there's gonna be much more well, I can say potentials for those old heroes that have slightly harsher requirements considered in nowadays format. So right, again, on this part of video, I'm not going through the old skills they have, which I will only go through during the demo video, and probably maybe I'll showcase at the end of this video with a slide. So we'll be going through on her exclusive unique skills. So right, her initial path is just a knight. So nothing special. Then she's gonna have a striker knight path or assault knight path when she's riding a horse. Still old skills. So basically she has quite old skills from Leon. Then right, the second path will be second path on, and to third class is the machine rider path. So okay, finally you have one unique skills. So it's known as Gravitational Search. So it's a type physical, the type is physical AoE damage. Okay, so number 1, deal 0.36 times AoE damage to enemies around you. Number 2, dispel 2 buff from enemies damage. So basically this is a ripoff from the AoE skills from Rosalia that will do dispel towards enemy, except that when Rosalia summon her sword, she get to move away 3 squares or tiles afterwards. Carolian do not have this advantage, so basically you just stay there. Well, the damage is higher, if I'm not wrong, 0.36 times. However, it triggers with her talent that after dealing damage to enemies 2 squares or tiles around you, they have their speed convert to speed reduction. So there's a high chance that enemies like definitely not cavalry, but lancer and infantry, they'll not be able to get near to you any closer. And I was told that her talent stacked with balance blade, so well, as you can imagine, you increase the range, and also her talents to 3 rings or circles, so that's very strong and great. Okay, so second path, third class machine rider. So you have exclusive skill 2, as you can see on the first one here. I'm gonna go with turbine pressure or turbine supercharge. So the type belongs to support. So right, number 1, increase on units mobility by +2. Number 2, when initiating battle, increase damage deal by 10%. Number 3, increase AoE cast range by +1. The above effect, whole effect lasts for 3 turns. So whoa. Okay, so a talent is 2 rings. Then this support skills increase by another +1 and followed by balance blade. So I'm going to presume it's going to go 4 rings. So that's a pretty huge, I'm going to call it either terrain or a talent effective range. 4 rings is pretty awesome. So alright, let's repeat again. Exclusive skill 2, turbine pressure. Okay, so number 1, increase on units mobility by +2. Number 2, when initiating battle, increase damage deal by 10%. Number 3, increase AoE cast range by +1. So the above effect will last for 3 turns. So only one small thing is that this support skill number 2 is that only when initiating battle you'll increase damage deal by 10%, but I think I will be pleased to spam her AoE. I will probably give her clock enchantment. That's how I feel. And then moving on to her 3C. Okay, I shall name or translate this as collapsing lens. So the type is a physical terrain AoE damage. So number 1, deal 0.4 times AoE damage to enemies around the target location, 2 squares or tiles around it. So meaning if you cast this AoE at this target squares or tiles, and enemies who are 2 squares or tiles beside it will get damaged, but because of of a support skills, and then probably with balance blade you're gonna go for squares or tiles. Number 2, cause target location to gain terrain effect, collapsing lands. So terrain will have command aura effect. When enemies fight Carolian 2 squares or tiles around the terrain, they will have their intelligence and attack reduced by 15%. Number 3, when enemies move outside of collapsing lands terrain, it will cost them an additional 1 step to move to each squares or tiles. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. So for example, a hero who can move 4 steps will now only be able to move 2 steps. So this is pretty much taken from Sage Landis, his terrain skill. So for every movement you move, you need to consume another additional movement. Except this time around, it don't affect flyer or cavalry. It affects any enemy units that are standing outside of the command aura. Okay, number 4, when enemies before battle or end their turn outside of collapsing lands terrain, they will take an increasing fixed damage as their basic movement speed increase, and a maximum cap at 3.5 times Carolian attack. Number 5, after using the skills, clear enemy's terrain effect on that target location, and Carolian will be able to move 4 squares or tiles in a straight direction again. Okay, last thing to note is that a special note that I returned is that collapsing lands has a higher terrain effect coverage priority. So I'm gonna presume that any other terrain that has been cast before or after might or may not override collapsing lands effect. However, we can only find out during the demo play, or probably when we'll see it during the S11 PvP if any one of the players are using it. Sorry, let's repeat again. So this is pretty long and it's not that easy to understand, but we do know that it's pretty good against rush AoE or single target playing style. So right, here we go. Number 1, deal 0.4 times AoE damage to enemies around target location, 2 squares or tiles around it. Number 2, cause target location to gain terrain effect, collapsing lands. The effects are as the following. Terrain will have a command aura effect. When enemies fight Carolian 2 squares or tiles around the terrain, they will have their intelligence and attack reduced by 15%. Number 3, when enemies move outside of collapsing lens terrain, it will cost them an additional 1 step to move to each square or tiles. Example, a hero who can only move 4 steps can only move 2 steps now. Number 4, when enemies before battle or end turn outside of collapsing lens terrain, they will take increasing fixed damage as their basic movement speed increase, and the maximum is capped at 3.5 times Carolian's attack. Number 5, after using the skills, clears enemy terrain's effect on their target location and able to move 4 squares or tiles in a straight line direction. Do note that collapsing lens has a higher terrain effect coverage priority. So that's it for Carolian. So do know that this terrain effect will only last for a turn. So you'll only be jamming your enemies for 1 turn, but I guess you definitely will go for clock enchantment, as if this skills keep triggering, you'll be able to spam it. So I can only see more pros than any cons towards this skill. The only cons is that this terrain effect will only last for 1 turn. But the pros are that if enemy try to fight with her within this terrain, their attack and intelligence will reduce by 15%, so this increases her survivability. While when they try to battle her, enemies try to battle or enter outside of the terrain, they will take an additional fixed damage as their basic movement speed increase and capped at 3.5 times her attack. So you're basically not really able to kill her off inside the terrain effect. And outside of the battle terrain effect, if you're not equipping with items that prevent fixed damage, you are definitely in for a treat, because maximum 3.5 times. So I'm going to go with 1 times to 3.5 times. It's definitely no joke for attackers like her. She's definitely going to get a lot of buff and faction buff, and these things can kind of go scary. But of course, not sure how do you guys feel. If you have any suggestion or comment, do write it down in the comment sections below. Okay, we've come to the end. Hope you guys like this video. We'll see you guys on the next Langrisser 4.0 news from the future. So this is Kami. We'll see you guys, and goodbye.